Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the rundown. It's been a minute, but today is Tuesday, June 8th. We're going to get into the rundown right now. This week in liturgy, nothing too wild, honestly. The Solemnity of the Sacred Heart on Friday, Feast of the Immaculate Heart on Saturday, but then it's relatively quiet in terms of liturgical options as we continue into next week, even. We posted an episode last Wednesday talking about ROTC with my friend Julia Knipfer, and we're going to have several new episodes coming out soon, but none of them have been recorded because everybody's schedules don't interact with each other well. So they'll be out when they come out. So just stay tuned for that. Of course, pay attention to my stories and stuff like that for more information. We're also looking at weather-wise several things, including tropical weather as hurricane season has now begun. We've already had one storm on the year, Tropical Storm Ana, and we also have weather here in Columbus and Norman. So let's begin with tropical weather. We're looking at an area to watch in the Caribbean Sea and then potentially even the Gulf of Mexico after that. This is what we call a Central American gyre storm. And so there's a large area of disturbed weather over Central America and southern Mexico. And this usually spawns some sort of tropical cyclone around this time of year every single year. And so what we're watching over the next few days is the development from that gyre, either in the Atlantic side or on the Pacific side. We have a 40% chance on the Pacific side, a 30% chance on the Atlantic side, and then potentially even a greater chance later on in the Atlantic side as the disturbed weather moves northward into the Gulf of Mexico. And so we'll continue to watch that area for potential development. Regardless of which side it forms on, because it could move to the other side if it forms in the Pacific. So we're going to be watching that area very closely over the next few days. Over off the East Coast, we do have potential subtropical development within the next 4 to 8 days that normally comes off of a cold front or low pressure system that moves through the central United States into the mid-Atlantic region and then off the coast. And we do have a couple tracks to watch on there, but again, it's likely not a fully tropical cyclone. So we'll just continue to keep an eye on that, but nothing too crazy, even if something does develop. In Columbus, we're looking at upper 70s now through Friday with lots of rain and storms. We're going to be in the low 80s over the weekend and around 80 next week. In Norman, it's going to be much warmer. It's below 90 today, but it's going to be in the low 90s into the weekend, perhaps hitting 95 on a day or two. Over this week, we're going to be around 90 early next week with no major precip in the area. As for the coronavirus video update number 23 on the year, we're looking much better across the board in the United States. You see only one case in South Dakota, one case in Maryland, one case in, what is the name of that state? Vermont, per 100,000 each day. So that's, of course, very good news to see such low numbers. In fact, the only one above 10 cases per 100,000 is the state of Wyoming. The daily new deaths per capita is also very low. We see the highest state is Michigan, but even Michigan really isn't that high. 0.3 is relatively low considering what we have, the numbers we have seen across the board. So, we'll see. And several states are at 0. You see everywhere, Utah to Missouri. And then up in the Northeast, even several states near 0 as well. You'll see different colors for the same decimal value. I assume that's because it's on either side of like 0.15. If it's between 0.1 and 0.15, it's the lighter color. If it's between 0.15 and 0.19 or whatever, it's the more dark color. But I'm not exactly sure. But that's kind of what that is. We also have hospitalizations looking good across the board again. Vermont at 0 hospitalizations per capita. Always good news to see such low numbers there. but again, across the board, below 10, which is notable. Daily vaccinations per capita, relatively low in the American South. We need to work on that. And I'll talk about why here in a second when we take a look at how many people have been vaccinated. Again, vaccination rates are highest up in the Northeast, where the most people have already been vaccinated, which seems a little backwards to me, but it is what it is. We have over 60% of the population in those states vaccinated across the board, doing relatively well, somewhere in the mid 40s. But the southern United States pulling up the back of the pack around a third. And it stays that way for the way they're fully vaccinated, minus like a couple percentage points. You see around 60% in the Northeast, across the board somewhere in the mid 30s in the southern United States at around 30. So we could be doing a whole lot better here, but we're gonna get what we're gonna get, and across the board throughout all of the people in the United States, 42% have been vaccinated. Those over age 12, half of the United States has been vaccinated, and 3/4 of those over age 65 have been fully vaccinated. We're nearing the 2/3 mark of all adults in the United States being vaccinated. So we are doing being vaccinated with at least one dose. And so we're getting closer and closer to full vaccination for the United States. Forecast infections continue to go down according to the CDC, with perhaps in 4 weeks from now, or I guess really 3 weeks from now, because the today marker is almost is past the 1 week from the projection point. But the point is we're going to be at 80,000 cases per week, which again is the lowest since late March of 2020. So that's always good news. We do have a few states that are still increasing slightly. New York took a good hit, dropped significantly, but the United States as a whole has dropped nearly 400,000 cases off of its total since the last update about 2 weeks ago. And worldwide, we're doing relatively well as well. India dropped nearly 1 million cases. They're recovering well. And most of the countries are doing much better than what they had been. Russia and Mexico are the exceptions to that in the top 10, but states as in countries are dropping off of the leaderboard. Spain dropped off the leaderboard. Italy and France dropped like almost 100,000 active cases, but are still in the top 10 because everybody else is also going down. Worldwide current cases below 13 million, always good news. And speaking of good news, this is at its end. This is, of course, the rundown, and I have been Chris Six, and InfoWeather Gathered Media.